here we have the ASUS N10J. This is their A2 model, and while the N10J looks and would feel like a netbook to most, it's strictly classified by ASUS as a notebook. Now, I've had this for a month using it since the unboxing video, and you can look back in that to see what all comes in the box, so I don't have to do that here. So we're going to look specifically at the N10J itself. Now, the N10J is also separated from the netbooks as being a notebook, as it is business oriented. So, and we'll see that by the specifications. So let's go over the specs of the N10J. To start, this has a 10.1-inch LED backlit display with 1024 by 600 resolution. It has the Intel Atom N270 1.6 GHz processor, 2 GB of memory, a 320 GB hard drive, which is very spacious for something like this. You have 802.11 ABG and N-Draft wireless, so you can take advantage of those N-Draft speeds. You also have the Bluetooth 2.0. Now, this also has a particularly interesting feature. It has two separate graphics chips. You have the Intel GMA 950, like which you would find on most netbooks, but if you need a little more oomph from your graphics, it also has the Nvidia 9300MGS discrete graphics chip, and you can switch between those depending on the application where you need that graphics potential. You also have a webcam with dual stereo mics, a fingerprint reader, an express card 34 slot. You also have an HDMI port on here, an SPDIF out, Altec Lansing speakers with Realtek high definition audio. You have also an interesting feature that I've only seen on this, I've never seen it on any other notebook, called an ambient light sensor, and we'll get a little bit later into what that is later in the video, probably in part 2. So, and this also runs a Windows Vista Business. I tend to forget bringing that up. So, let's go over the exterior of the N10J. And as I said, it's business oriented, so they kind of depart from the EPC in their color choice and design of the N10J. They kind of use this glossy finish with kind of a silver grayish type of color scheme, and they use these chrome accents on the back and on the mousepad buttons. So let's start looking at some of the ports. On this side we have the jack for your AC adapter. Here's that gigabit Ethernet, a D sub VGA, one USB 2.0 port, your microphone jack. Here's that SPDIF out, which is also your headphone jack, so you can use your regular headphones, but if you want some digital audio, you can also use that jack. Here's the express card 34 slot, which gives you some expandability on here using express card 34 cards. And the express card blank they give you also doubles as an SD card holder. So if you have your SD card, you can stick it into the blank here and carry it with you in the N10J. Moving to the front of the notebook, we have an air vent here and an air vent here, and right under that is our multimedia card reader that you can handle most formats like secure digital, Sony memory stick, and XD. And on the other side we have our switch that turns on and off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, 2 USB 2.0 ports. Here's the HDMI port, so you can output high-def audio and video to a big screen. And to the left of that is our graphics switch, so you can change between the Intel GMA 950 and the Nvidia 9300MGS with this switch. And right now I've got it configured for the 9300MGS, and I kind of leave it there because I like the added graphics performance of that over the GMA 950. And here we have our cooling vent, and then we have our Kensington lock. Now, on the back side is our 6-cell battery, and it doesn't bulge out too much, just a little bit. Not as much as most 6-cell netbooks that I've seen where it comes out quite a ways. And the battery life on here is actually quite good. I'd say if you're running it on the high performance setting at max brightness with the Nvidia card enabled, you will probably get 3 to 3.5 hours. On power saving, I guarantee you'll at least get 5. So it's pretty good battery life on the N10J unit. So let's open it up and start looking at some of the inside. We'll start at the bottom with the keyboard. Keyboard is fairly full size. I'd say it's just shy of being a full-size keyboard, but it is very easy to type with. Very nice response from the keyboard. In fact, I just brought the computer out of standby. I'm going to put it back in this standby here, so we don't want to jump ahead too far. Down toward the bottom is our trackpad. It is not too rough and it's not too smooth, so it's very easy to use. We have our dedicated scroll zone on the right. Here's our chrome accented mouse buttons, and depending on the user, they may find it a little bit loud. I don't really mind it that much. In between them is the fingerprint reader, and the lower right corner is our status indicators. We have one for power, the battery, which only shows red, and that's when it's charging. When it's done, that LED turns off. Then you have the one for your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now, move up some. Here's the power switch. To the left of that is our power 4-gear hybrid engine / expressgate switch. Now, pressing this when you're in Windows changes the power settings to the power 4-gear power management software on the N10J, and it allows you to adjust the power modes accordingly. Now, when you have the N10J turned off and you hit that button, that will launch the expressgate software powered by Splashtop, which is a small Linux operating system that boots up in 5 seconds or less and can give you access to the internet, pictures, music, Skype phone calls, instant messaging, and some other applications instantly without having to fully boot into the Windows operating system. To the left of it is the zoom button. You can press that in Windows. That'll bring up a small window that moves around with the mouse, and it can give you 2 to 3 times magnification so you can get a better view of objects on this 10-inch screen. And to the left is the hard drive indicator, numlock, and scroll lock indicators. Now let's go to the screen. Get a good look at this. Here's that 10.1-inch LED backlit display, and it's kind of in a double bezel here. You got this bezel, and then you got another inner bezel, and then the actual screen. So it's a little bit different setup. Here is our webcam. To the right is the dual stereo mics. And then here's that little ambient light sensor, this little dot right here. That will allow you to have the computer automatically adjust the screen brightness depending on the ambient light conditions. So, well, we'll start this up into Windows in part 2, and we'll start looking at some of the practical uses of these features.